And welcome back to day 2 of 12 Days of Excellence. Again, I am your host, Coach West of Look Faith First. And what we're going to go over again today is the second day of the 12 days. And just to catch you up a little bit, what we're talking about is the 12 very intentional, specific things you can do to achieve true excellence, your perfect potential, your perfect purpose in 2017. And, yesterday we went over 3 things. We went over hyper-purposefulness, we went over hyper-clarity, and we went over hyper-intentionality. And so when we talk about hyper-purposefulness specifically, a lot of people have a challenge with that because, honestly, it kind of runs counter to the world we live in. There's a lot of people who don't recognize that they have a purpose and they were made for that specific purpose. And so what we created was a tool called the Blazing Heart. Now, in the Blazing Heart, we talk about the 3 elements that are absolutely necessary to have a purposeful life and a purposeful living. These are the things that motivate you, that drive you, that get you up every morning, that keep you up every night, that really make it so that you have every bit of the energy and resources and conviction you need to achieve these grand, profound things. And the reason why we call it the Blazing Heart is this. I'm sure that I'll probably have some Boy Scouts or some Girl Scouts, that are out there. You may remember that there were 3 elements of fire. So your 3 elements, just as a reminder for some of you, and as I guess a new lesson for many of the others, you need to have heat, you need to have fuel, and you need to have oxygen. See, what's really interesting about fire is that even with an abundance of 2 of the elements, without the third, either fire doesn't exist at all, or that's actually how firefighters put it out. So if you have all the fuel in abundance and all the oxygen, with no heat, you have no fire. Maybe you have heat, you have fuel, but without the air it needs to breathe, it doesn't exist. And you can have plenty of heat and plenty of oxygen, but if there's no fuel for it to consume, it goes out also. Well, the same thing is true about motivation. The same thing is true about purposefulness. You need to have 3 elements to really bring that blaze around. And what happens is, unfortunately, even with abundance of the other 2, if one of them are restricted, so is your flame, so is your impact. So our 3 are this. You have purpose, which acts as our heat. Purpose is, again, who we are, why we recognize that we were put here to do something impactful and something powerful. In addition, I suggest that people look to put joy in their purpose, which means they put Christ, they put others, they put themselves, as far as how completing that purpose and pursuing that purpose could be fulfilling at every level. And again, that is that heat that's just internal. It's something that's really given to us. It's something that's very special to us. So then we move over to our belief. Now, our beliefs, again, are a little different. And this is what I think is the greatest travesty of humanity, is that a lot of times our beliefs are conditioned to us by people, by environments, by histories, by communities that really don't have our best interest in mind. So we have to be really, really aware of the types of beliefs that we allow the world that, again, doesn't have our best interests in mind to control. And those beliefs act as our fuel, and you probably have recognized that in your life. When you have a great amount of belief in what you're doing and about who you are, you come with no fear, no hesitation, no challenge. You look at the world entirely differently. But when your belief is a little bit restricted, there just happens to be a really big difference on your intensity and your conviction and your resourcefulness. And so as part of that fuel, we need to recognize where our belief is at and, again, do as much as we can to make sure it's as strong as we can make it. So even with those 2 elements, though, we potentially have another challenge. You've got this great, great purpose. You know what the impact is. You know what your strengths are. You absolutely believe in you. You absolutely believe in the world. You're very, very resourceful. But then it comes to the environment. And the environment is where we live, where we work, what we do. The thing is if we're in an environment that is restrictive to what our ultimate purpose is or what our ultimate potential is, we in turn restrict ourselves. So we need to make sure with our environment that we do everything we can to protect it in a way that allows us to do the other 2 things at the fullest level and the fullest intensity. All right? So what we're going to talk about over the next 10 days is pretty simple. We're going to talk about the conditions that it takes for a belief, and we're going to talk about the things necessary in order to build this environment. And that's what sets us off for day 2. Coach West of Look Faith First. Thank you very much for being part of this day, and we look forward to supporting and continue to support your excellence in 2017.